This is your daily market review for Tuesday, January 14th, 2025. Let's go. Hey everyone, this is my channel to help investors and traders develop a probability-based mindset to succeed. Also try and keep friends informed of what's going on in the markets and the economy, and also a little real estate content as well. This is Dan Max at eXp Realty, aka the Trading Agent. This is your daily market review for Tuesday, January 14th, 2025. We had the PPI data, which came in a little less than expected, still high relative to what is typical, or the central bank, Federal Reserve's target of 2%. We're still way above that in the 3.5 plus range. And well, the market was interesting. I'm not surprised we bounced. We talked about the oversold rally that was probably coming, not necessarily meaning like it had to be incredibly strong, but we knew chop X, OpEx. And again, this is the things we reference, reoccurring tendencies. You know, when you get into oversold condition near term, you hit support. Don't be surprised you bounced. You gapped up. We gave it all back again. Everybody was bullish after the gap up. Not surprised they faded it. And then after fading it, they pulled it back up. And again, chop X, OpEx. Now, I'm not saying that we can't go higher or can go lower. I just would not be surprised if we chop around. So tomorrow morning, you have bank earnings and CPI data. And then on Thursday, you have more data. And then on Friday, more data and the start of earnings. Do not get caught off guard trying to predict exactness. Again, trade around your positions, know what to expect, and be intelligent about it, okay? Again, talked about some of the positions we're holding. We'll go into that. And again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Always here to help. If you want to join the Discord room, link description below. I appreciate all the love, support, generous donations. If you'd like to chat, use the Calendly link in the description below. Follow, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell on Twitter. I go post some trades here. Also, posting some real estate stuff here any once in a while. Also on the YouTube, hit the notification bell. You'll get notified of all the videos that pop up. And also, again, check out the education videos. And all this stuff is also on my website, tradingagent.com. Recommended reading, Goldman Sachs, high yielding account. You want to get, man, there's so many stuff. The Marcus account. Where is, man, it's like brain fog. Interactive brokers. Use these use these links. Let me know if you need any help. And again, if a link goes bad, let me know. I've had that happen before as these websites update. So again, we know going into the rest of the week, it should be choppy. You've got earnings, start of earnings. You've got all sorts of stuff. And here's the thing that I think most folks who don't trade but want to outsmart the market, sometimes being a little smart, is that they think like bottoms always happen with V's, right? If the market has bottom near term, doesn't necessarily mean it has to like go in a straight line, right? Like that's the overwhelming desire, but I've never seen a real market bottom that was just a straight line, unless we had VIX of, explosive values. And when that V even has some sort of head and shoulders formation to it. So in this moment, again, I'm not trying to overthink this, right? Watch the levels, let it chop, know your levels. Like here you go, like Bitcoin, right? Everyone's going, what's the bottom? That's the bottom. That's the bottom. That's the bottom. That's the bottom. No. After up moves, you consolidate, right? That's what I'm expecting. Same thing with the SPY. We've had a nice move. Markets had a nice move up. Valuations are incredibly expensive going into earnings, which is crazy if you actually look at some of these ratios and expensiveness. Like the market is not cheap. So be careful. And earnings expectations are expected to go down. Bitcoin got to hold 91,000. Nice little trap yesterday. Comes back. Okay. We'll see what happens here. Again, is this the trap bottom before you retest and then go higher, or are we just going to stick around? Again, the volume isn't really telling me much of anything. That's my biggest concern for Bitcoin bulls. Oil, as we talked about, are you surprised it's going to start getting choppy and resistance? No. Nice up move. We've been climbing. First, just consolidation or a pullback. Your guess is as good as mine. If we blast right through it, then that would show me that there's some bigger stuff coming. Natty gas, we've talked about chopping around. I mean, I like natural gas long term. Again, I'm on record saying the same thing over and over and over. We like this stuff on pullbacks long term. So let's get into some of the other things that we watch. The dollar finally pulled back a little bit today. I mean, not surprised, overbought, right? If you take out the ex-dividend, you're probably somewhere in the mid-31s. Look, are we, due to pullback? Okay. Keep an eye on it. Again, I'm not really trading dollar. I'm just watching for dollar volatility. TLT, we talked about watching for bottom. We're at 85. You're filling an old gap from the past. Clearly support here. Okay. This is the thing. You go down, you bounce. Think about the rubber band man theory. If you don't know what the rubber band man theory is, leave a comment below. Again, appreciate all the love, support. Again, hit the like button, subscribe. Again, even if you're not donating and you want to support the channel, just share, hit the like button, heart it, let the algo pick this up. I would appreciate it very much. We talked about this, 85 area might be a risk reward trade where you get in. Same thing like UBT around 16. You just define your risk, see what happens. If it goes, it goes. Simple. Keep it simple, stupid, right? VIX. We've talked about the VIX needs to clear the mid-19s. We got over it, but couldn't close over it. And now today, inside range. I wouldn't be surprised, again, if they beat this up a little more in the next couple of days, right? It's only Tuesday of a OPEX week. Talked about VIX bottoming first. So far, it looks like it's holding up. And again, keep it simple, stupid. SPY. SPY, 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 SPY. We talked about hitting support zones and you bounce. Everyone gets excited. Okay. I mean, it's trending down. 20-day has been resistance now that it once was support. I mean, I personally think, again, CHOPEX, OPEX, I would not be surprised if we fill this gap at 589. We fill the gap here. I mean, it's not going to be simple, right? You're relying. This is why sometimes trading can be difficult. You're relying on earnings reactions and economic data. You don't know. You just don't know. If you're telling yourself you do, you're lying. Come on, guys, gals, friends, dinosaurs. Q. Same kind of thing, right? Here's the top. Oh, it's the bottom. It's like, okay, and gaps. No, I mean, again, I would be watching how we act at the 512 level. I mean, keep it simple, stupid. IWM, we talked about this one being oversold. Hits the 200-day, right? Okay, now this back to the 20-day would make sense, around 223. Again, been lagging. This is the thing about people like downtrends. Like, oh, trends just go in a straight line. Like, no, they don't go in a straight line always. Same thing for DIA. Hit support. What does it do? Bounce, right? I mean, again, let it play out, right? Gold. This one's tricky. Long term, love it. Short term, not sure. Again, it's really hard when you don't see silver and the miners confirming it. Right? Silver should be at 529s. GDX should be probably around, 39, 38. Again, they could be bottoming. That could have been a pro gap, and they're kind of charging their way. But at this point, again, I don't trust them because if the VIX expands, throw the baby out the bathwater. And the only way that money, would hold this up is if money leaves tech quickly, right? And if it leaves quickly, keep it simple, right? It will find a home. And if it's not going in the dollar, where's it going? Probably going to be into gold, materials, TLT. Keep it simple, stupid stuff. I mean, again, I feel like a broken record. I'm just moving along. Like, you know what to do. You know what to expect. Again, commodities, materials, bonds. Newmont. This one's been just an absolute shit show. When I talk about Newmont, a lot of people get mad about it because they're like, oh, man, it's dead, it's dead, it's dead. I'm like, let it die. Let it die. Because when it dies and then it's done, there's going to be no one left to sell. And when there's no one left to sell, you go up fast. Just keep an eye on it. Pass. Here you go. Another one chopping around. Not much to say. Time one saying, let's speed it up. Earnings Thursday after the close. Blow off top. Do you get a retest? Again, I'm watching this one after earnings. See what happens. I'm not going to try to step in front of it. Micron. We talked about this. Popped on the NVDA news, and it's just dead end. Dead cat. Just chopping around. Again, I think these go lower in time. AMD, a lot of people get flack going, oh, it's time to buy. Like, no. Again, I think this is going significantly lower in time, but it could bounce here. Like, right? Like, you get oversold. NVIDIA, same thing. Gets oversold, right? You go from 150 and change down to 130. There's going to be some buyers down here. I just don't see it lasting long. Watching the 20-day, watching the 50-day. Keep it simple, right? Because I think it will get flushed at some point. A lot of people, like everyone I know is bullish on it, which is good. I want everyone to be bullish at the highs, just like I want everyone to be bearish at the lows when I want to buy. Makes sense? SMCI, this one's kind of, I don't know. I might have to take this one off the list. This one's too hard because, again, they've got accounting issues. When you have accounting issues and your auditors quit, but the company says we're good, who do you trust? Auditors. Intel, again, we talked about you could buy it here. I just don't, again, I think Intel's a piece of shit. Excuse my language. But if you want to buy it at 19, set your stop. Makes sense, again. SMH, I think these are going lower. Watching the 200-day, chopping around. Adobe, things you don't see if the market's strong, right? Like Adobe just absolutely getting crushed near term. If you get over this 411, I don't know why. You could get back into the 430s. Apple, talked about this one when it was at the high. You're going to come back to the 230s. You got it. Now what? Bounce, 100-day. If it doesn't bounce, and again, this is kind of what we said here. If it doesn't really bounce that strong, it's showing you how weak it really is. Kapounce, then fail. I'll be watching, see what happens here. It doesn't really look that good. Amazon, something that we talked about, right? Like chopping around 1.618. Again, if you want to trade this one, I think this one's in a tight range. I don't know. I mean, it should pull back, but you have a 3-day range around 215, 216. That's your next reference. But then you have the 50-day right there. That's a tricky one. Like, I liked Meta way better shorting. Talked about this chop top, double top. Here you go. 3-day range broke, breaking the 50-day. It looks good. Now, near term, Chop X, could it hold the 50-day? Your guess is as good as mine. That one's tough. Again, I like the short if you short it from the 630 plus level. Now, near term, it's going to be, it could get a little dicey, right? Pulls back 5-6%. People get excited, right? CRM, again, we talked about this one's been slowly dying since the gap up. Guggenheim coming with that Quantum 2 chips. Not really acting so hot, right? Microsoft, but it is that, not acting so hot. Not acting so fun, right? You're back up near the old highs and you're just chopping. High and tight is bullish, but I'd be on red alert. Microsoft, talked about this one. It looks like it's toast in time, but it's a big choppy zone. I'm not really that involved in it. NDAQ, I think this is one of the better shorts of 2025 because I think ultimately people will be leaving tech and they will be investing in other companies. And guess who will not get the exchange volume? The Nasdaq. Keep an eye on it. Again, 100-day, not surprised if it catches a little bit during ChopX. MicroStrategy, same kind of thing, chopping around in between support resistance. I personally, I don't really have a feel on it near term. That's where it gets tricky. And we've seen this before. Big up, consolidates, meltdown. Again, if you see the 240s, I like it. Netflix and chill. Looked like it. Netflix is starting to spill. We've talked about this. This one had a nice rounding top after a huge move. I'm on record going, I don't understand this move. I don't think, again, since the 160 up to 920, get the fuck out of here. Excuse my language. Like, it's getting only more competitive. Yeah, they can raise their price $1 or $2, but again, their earnings growth is pretty capped out. Like, it's very predictable. Why would people pay a premium? I don't know. Roblox, we've talked about this one holding up pretty well. Just kind of watching it. PanW, I like cybersecurity names. We talked about this pulling back in time with all tech. Watch the 200-day. Again, next to the trend line. I would love to see this thing around 130. Tesla, interesting day. Like, we woke up and I'm like, oh, this thing's ripping. Look where it failed. Remember how we talked about the 20-day curling down becomes first resistance? Again, people say all the craziest shit to me, and I don't really bother me, but I'm like, it's just repeating patterns. And I say it every video, repeating patterns. And again, is it always perfect? No, but you're putting a probability-based game into repeating patterns, and you can almost predict. It's like being a baseball player. You're batting, and you know that this guy likes to throw it here. And, if you set it up right, you can hit a home run. Sometimes you miss the pitch or make a mistake, but, you'll get them next time, right? Like, you use reoccurring tendencies. It's not rocket science. 20-day, again, I like the idea that Tesla's going to go nowhere for a while. It pisses people off because, again, everyone thinks it's going up. Insight, I think this is getting a buyout target. We've talked about this one. Again, if you have questions about like repeating formations, this is where you watch the education series. There's 54 videos. You don't think I talk about a lot of this stuff? And if I don't and you want me to, I will do a video for it. It's not rocket science, guys. Palantir, again, here's another one that after a big move up like Tesla, right, like something like NVDA, they go into the chop zone. MicroStrategy, and then they pull back too. Keep an eye on it. 50-day, McDonald's. This one was getting funny, right? 200-day, you better hold, player. You better hold. DKNG saying today, like, hey, watch for the 40-plus area. The short, it was almost near 41 this morning. If you want to reshort it, due for a bounce, look at the candle, love it. Again, a lot of people get frustrated about the idea of fundamentals. I'm like, don't overthink it. Let the stock talk. Airbnb, breaking the 100-day, get you. Costco, we talked about this bouncing from the 100-day after the 1,000 level being the top. It's consolidating. I don't know really what to say there. Sometimes it's not very obvious near term where it's going to go, and that's where if you're a swing trader, you're prepared for a chop. We like Starbucks going to nowhere land. In my opinion, again, they have to earn the premium that they're getting for stealing the Chipotle CEO. So I think it's going to be in digestion mode. FedEx. Again, I like the short from the range highs. Not surprised. Said yesterday it might bounce here. That makes sense. Right? Let me pull this over. Makes sense. And it bounces. How high? Maybe 100-day. What are we watching? Caterpillar, we talked about these breaking range lows. And then guess what? Trapster. Go from 420 down to 350s. Right? At worst, consolidation. Or a pop and I mean, again, could you pop back to some resistance? I'd be watching this. Again, you're going to earnings. It could be a little tricky, but these names, I mean, you can't always assume things, right? Deere, this is another one that we talked about, a nice up move. Near term, again, this is what I like about commodities. They're going to start acting like that. Just be careful. Nucor, choppity, right? Choppity. I mean, again, we like materials names long term, but love that they're just playing this game. Like, let the barbecue, let this thing, marinate. Let the barbecue marinate. Let this thing sit in the smoker. Let these commodity names get cooked. I'm telling you, that's the play, in my opinion. VALE, let these names all pull back. Again, I think, I mean, some of these are pulling back. Like VALE is still at the lows. Arrow, Junior Copper, we like Junior Copper, right? CCJ, I mean, we like CCJ. We talk about it's probably due to pull back. People get mad. I'm like, this candle didn't look good. Looked like a gap and trap, and perfect was. Now, near term, you're probably in the chop zone, right? Unless the market starts melting, and then they'll melt these down too. CF had some options action. Again, when you zoom out, big chop zone, taking out the range highs, looks good. Not really sure I trust it because like Mosaic, NTR, not really following, but this is what it is, right? NTR looks a little better. AA Aeron, again, we like aluminum long term. Just let it play out. XLF, this is where it got tricky today. Have some longer dated puts on JP Morgan. Decided to just kind of hold, see what happens. XLF due to bounce. We're not surprised. Could he get the 50-day, 20-day? Absolutely. JP Morgan will have earnings tomorrow morning. Again, that's why I like limited, like puts with limited risk profile, right? Like I know what I'm risking. Could it retest the highs? It's always possible. But we've seen this a lot where it pops on earnings and it gives it back. Right? Seen this multiple times. Yeah. Anyway, keep an eye on it. Again, this is how you define risk. Morgan Stanley, again, they got earnings coming up tomorrow too. Chopping around, right? A lot of these financials, like you got to know your levels. Because if you're not aware of them and you're playing games, be safe. Goldman Sachs, earnings too. I mean, they all are tomorrow or Thursday. I like, again, any major pops, man, to me, they make sense. A short with a defined risk. Again, don't just jump in just to jump in. Make sure you're at levels that make sense. Carry breaks the 100-day. Look at that bounce back with OPEX. Okay, cool. XBI, we've talked about how junior bios are a risk-on name. Not really looking so hot. Jets, we talked about this one. Chop top, very confusing. If you're shorting the highs, it makes sense. Man, I'd be watching that gap fill or retest. Makes sense to me. XHB, we talked about housing, due to bounce. Yeah, that's nice gap up. Okay, 20-day. Maybe it lasts for a couple days. Maybe get to the 200-day. Again, all these names that have been oversold, don't be surprised they bounce, right? We talked about, like, speaking of oversold, like, you look at SLV, chops around, bounces. Sedge, right? Again, I think these names had lower in time, but it's just play them out. ENPH for solar, right? Chop, HYG, choppity, right? Again, you got to be out of your mind to be buying corporate debt, in my opinion. When you zoom out, you go, wow, this has a lot of room. And you had the distribution off the highs, and you get the dead cat bounce. Watch the 200-day. Make it simple, stupid, right? Oil, we talked about near term being overbought. Well, there you go. Right? It gets up against the range highs, right? Like very clear, right? Clear as mud. Not surprised, right? Like, oh, boom, it hits a level, gets a little tired. UNG, I hate this product. Say it every time. KLD short, again, you should be taking profits down here. You shorted the highs, took some profits here. Now you're covering most of your position and hoping at some point they throw the baby out of the way. I mean, it's so easy. But again, everyone's hoping to get to 20, and it's like, man, you get run over trying to pick up pennies, those last extra dollars. XOP, speaking of something like that, right? Here you go. Nice move up. We talked about it holding the range lows. Now you're back up here. Take a little profit. See what happens. Like if it pulls back, great. If it doesn't, you're still good. You can always add dips. There'll be something later. We talked about CV not really acting well. We talked about the gasoline names. Nice pop yesterday. Little consolidation today. Not surprised, right? Not surprised. BP, we talked about, consolidating after a nice up move. Okay. Again, this is where you get the chop. This is where it gets really confusing for people. Like, right? They just have to be all in all the time. And I'm like, man, it gets a little sloppy sometimes. Occidental, we talked about this getting to the 100-day. Right? Now it's pulling back a little bit. Again, near term, this is where, again, if you could disappear for a bit and you're not overthinking it, you got to like it long term. But that doesn't necessarily mean it can't retest the range lows or go lower if something happens. Right? EQT, we talked about this one, this upper range and around the 50s. Looking good. Flex LNG last but not least, because I think we'll be a natural gas exporter at the 200-day. So think about going into the rest of the week. You're going to have some choppy action. I would fade the opening moves, in my opinion, like especially big ones. If you go up, fade it. If you drop, probably buy it. Manage your positions. Know that you're going into the rest of the week. You have a lot of data. You have some earnings. Again, people are extremely bullish. And I don't, again, when pessimism, and when I say extremely bullish, I mean like the retail masses are very bullish. I'm noticing that people are all trying to pick bottoms, and I'm telling you, you don't see bottoms when everyone's trying to pick them, just like you don't see tops when everyone's trying to pick them. Same thing. Market's really good at taking the most amount of money from the most amount of people. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Again, please leave a like, subscribe, whatever. Just if you want to get involved, leave a comment below. I appreciate it. Again, it helps the algorithm. It gets people to see these videos that need to see them, like you. Talk to you later. Hey, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, stop by the Discord room. A link is in the description below. Also, if you'd like to help support more free content, the PayPal link is in the description as well. I appreciate your continued support of the channel.